lovelies, welcome back for another one. I'm super duper excited to show y'all this really cute green eye makeup look, and I'm so happy with how it came out. So let's get started. I'm first going to prime my eye using the e.l.f. Putty Primer. This is a putty eyeshadow primer, and it's like a clay-like texture. So what I needed to really do was rub this in as smooth as I can so that the eyeshadow wouldn't come out cakey. So you'll see me rub this all over my eye, and then I just go in using my beauty blender just to blend this out so that everything is smoothed out. For this look today, I will go in using the Makeup Revolution Soph X palette, and the first shade out of the palette that I will use is Tiramisu. I'm going to place this right smack dab in my crease area, as this is where my transition color will be, so that everything will blend out really nicely. So I'm just going to take a couple coats of this and cover my crease really good, because like I said, this will be a cut crease and I really want those colors really nicely blended. The next shade that I'm using is called Rosewood, and it's a nice dark chocolate shade, and I'm placing this right in my crease area, and I'm going to blend a couple coats on this to that surface because I really want this to pop. And this will be basically around that green shade, and I really wanted to show because this is a cut crease, so I'm making sure that I put enough of the pigment onto my crease area so that it actually shows. Doing the very same thing to my other eye, and I wanted to show you all how I do both eyes in this video so that you can see what I do to one, I do to the other. Now it's time to cut our crease, and to do this I'm taking the LA Girl Pro Concealer, and the color that I'm using is in Fawn. I'm taking this flat shader brush that I usually use to clean up around my eyebrows, and this had a really nice flat shape, so this was really perfect. So I'm taking that concealer and I am placing it right on top of my lid. A cut crease is a little bit more dramatic than a normal just eyeshadow application, so I drug the concealer a little bit above my eyelid area onto, kind of like seeping into my crease area, so that when I do go to close my eye, my shadow doesn't actually like seep over into my crease. So this way just kind of acts as a barrier between my lid shade and also that crease area. Time to move on to that lovely green, and this shade is called Pine Tree out of the Soph X palette, and it is a shimmer shade. So I thought it would be nicely just to go ahead and apply this dry, so that is what I did. And because I did apply the concealer, the application was very smooth, and as you can see, the color came out very pigmented and bright, so I was good to go. I'm moving on to the face, and I'm first starting off by priming using this e.l.f. Matte Putty Primer. And I'm just applying this on my cheeks, my forehead, and my chin, which I just apply this all over. I usually apply any primer that I use all over my face, just to kind of have that extra protection, you know. So I'm going in and I'm working this all over my face. For foundation, I'm using the Covergirl Full Spectrum Matte Ambition Foundation, and the color that I have is Deep Neutral 2. I was kind of running out of the product, so I just applied it onto my face just using the applicator. There's so much that I can say about this particular foundation. I'm fairly new to using. I've only had it for a few months, but what I have noticed is that the coverage of this isn't something that I normally will pull for, because I do have, you know, those blemishes and dark marks on my face. So normally when I go for a full coverage foundation, which this foundation does seem to say that it can last all day, I usually want an all-day foundation to have a good amount of coverage, which this foundation I'm normally seeing that it is buildable, meaning that you probably will have to work a couple coats of this, and you wouldn't necessarily get away with just one application. So I definitely, for me, would not repurchase, but as you can just see in the video, I did apply as much as I thought that I needed, and I went with that. But yeah, the coverage on this was not the greatest. For concealer, I'm just using the Age Rewind Concealer by Maybelline, and normally this is a really good concealer for folks who have under eye dark circles, which I don't have, but this concealer is pretty nice, and I really do love that it is a full coverage concealer, and the color is really nice. To blend this in, I am taking the pointed end of my beauty blender, which y'all know I normally do that with any under eye concealer. I just feel the pointed end of any beauty blender that I own, it just fits really nicely in that corner of my eye, and also it's just a really good tool to use with blending out any under eye concealer. To kind of make sure that the concealer is blended into my foundation, I take the bottom of the beauty blender and just go around the edges, as I did have some of my foundation kind of still on the beauty blender. So this just allowed me to blend out my concealer with my foundation to make sure that they were both blended nicely together. I'm going in with the beauty blender and pulling from the Laura Mercier A translucent powder, which I normally use to set my under eye concealer, and I'm, as I said, just using beauty blender to do that. Afterwards, I'm moving on to bronzing. I'm doing a little bit of contouring, and I'm using this concealer stick by Black Radiance. I love this color, you guys. Like, I think it really complements my skin really nicely. I think it really works well for a chocolate girl like myself, or I think even other shades closer to you know, either around my skin tone, a little bit lighter, or even darker. I think this definitely can work really nicely for us chocolate girls. So I did also just contour a little bit down the bridge of my nose, or at least the corners of my nose. I normally don't do that, but I've just started to do this technique a little bit lately, and I've really been liking it. I am setting my entire face, and I'm using the Makeup Revolution baking powder, which I know it is a baking powder, you guys, but I've really been enjoying using it. I'm going to bronze today using the Fenty Beauty Sunstalker bronzer, and the color that I use is in Mocha Mami. I use this so much. This is probably like the only powder bronzer that I own, but I love it, and I think it's great for chocolate women as well. I am going to highlight, and I'm taking that e.l.f. Glow Gleam Bean palette, and I always pull for that gold shade because I think gold highlight is just my thing. So I'm taking it on above my cheekbones, and also just on the point of my nose. I think that just adds a cute little shine there. Afterward, I'm going back and just making sure that I finish off the eyes, and I'm going under my waterline using the Rosewood color, which was the chocolate shade that I used earlier. And I'm taking the Morphe M321 brush to apply that underneath my waterline, and I made sure to drag it all over my waterline. y'all. Then for the tear duct, I went back into the palette and I grabbed this shade. It's called Copper Coin, and I'm just taking a small pointer brush and I'm applying this right smack dab in that inner corner, and this just brings a really nice pop to that area, which I really love a good shimmer to my inner tear duct. I don't shame away from it, so I did that and I think it really added to the look. Now today I did something different. I went in with this LA Girl Ultimate Eyeliner, and this is in Super Bright, and this is basically like a bright nude, and I added this right onto my waterline, and this just kind of opens up my eyes and makes them appear a little bit wider, which I thought that is definitely something different for me. I usually don't do this or really, you know, wear this often, but I think this really added to the look as well, and it came out super pretty. I'm moving on to the lips, and of course y'all know I'm going in with my favorite lip liner. This is called Club Hopper. It's one of NYX's matte lip liners, and I really think it's a really nice go-to lip liner for chocolate girls. So I'm just adding a few coats of this to my lips. On top of that, I went in using the Maybelline Superstay. This is one of their matte ink liquid lipsticks, and this one is in Fighter. And I thought this would be a really nice neutral shade for this look, so I added a couple coats, and I wanted to keep this lip really simple and matte, but turns out that your girl went glossy. So later on I did go in with the Black Radiance nude lip gloss in the shade Urban Nude, just to top off the lip. Then it was time to move on to lashes, so I did add a few coats of mascara to both my lower lashes and my top lashes, and I was using the L'Oreal Paris Ultimate Mascara, and the shade that I always seem to just cling to is, you know, my natural lash shade Black. So this one was called Blackest Black. And for this look, I used the Demi Wispies by Ardell. And I normally don't show myself applying lashes in any of my videos, but I thought today to just kind of keep that in to show you all somewhat of how I do, even though I know it's not that elaborate, but you guys, I'm trying. Here I'm just going in with a Q-tip, no shame, just clean it up. Your girl made a few mistakes. Then to make sure that my natural lashes were blended well with the falsies, I just kind of closed my natural lashes and also just pushed upward on them with the false lashes so that they were blended. Loves, we have reached the end of the video, but I so enjoyed creating this for you all, and I hope to see you all in my next video, Lord willing. See y'all then.